While I am still on the PPI research train, I wanted to jump on here and sort of explain why this is a perfect example. These medications are a perfect example of how marketing and conditioning teaches us and trains us to stop listening to our own bodies. A lot of us have a belief system right now that our bodies just start to fall apart when we're 30. Right? All of a sudden we get acid reflux because, well, we just turned 30, so this is what happens. Or maybe it's 35 or 40. We have that ingrained in us that once we hit a certain age, our body is going to start, deteriorating. And even if you go into a doctor with certain symptoms, they're going to look you dead in the face and be like, well, you hit 30 or you hit 40, so this is just kind of what happens. And at the end of the day, I hate to break it to everybody, but that's just not true. Yes, age matters, but age matters in a way that our circumstances around us are probably different at age 30 than they were at age 19 and 20. Age does matter in the fact that your life is going to be different and things are going to be different at that age. But age, I'm sorry, does not cause specific things like acid reflux. There are a lot of things that cause acid reflux, like fatty foods, overeating, external stressors, spicy foods, hiatal hernias like my mom, maybe you just had a baby. There's all these physical and external stressor things that cause acid reflux. But I hate to say it, turning 30 or turning 35 or 40 is not a cause of acid reflux. But it is so ingrained in us that things just change when we're 30 and the body starts to deteriorate when we're 30 or 35 or 40. And it's also ingrained in us, first and foremost, the first conditioning that is ingrained in us is that we can eat and drink and do whatever we want when we're young and it doesn't affect us. But that is just not true. It can't be true by the laws of physics. There's always cause and effect. So the things that we eat, drink, and the situations we put ourselves in, they're going to affect us. They might not show in the same way that they do when we get older, but they do affect us. And the fact that they affect us is why all of a sudden things start changing right around 30. A lot of things happen around age 30, around our Saturn return, if you will, if you want to get a little astrological with me. Around age 30, number one, everybody's brains are fully developed at this point. So we've all grown up quite a bit. And our lives have typically changed dramatically from the times we were in our teenage years and our early 20s and into 30. And what happens is typically we actually kind of become more in tune with our body around this time because we're typically not really partying as hard, we're not drinking as much, maybe we've settled down in a relationship, maybe we're married with kids already, and so we're tuning into our children as well. So things just start kind of changing. And what also happens around this point is our gut microbiome all of these years has been taking on all of these things. It's been taking on the toxicity, the pollutions, the foods, the drinks, the sugar, the alcohol, all of these things. It's been taking this on all these years under the impression that we've been able to drink and eat whatever we wanted, even though there was probably signs throughout your younger years that we couldn't eat and drink whatever we wanted, right? I mean, as many times as I, threw up in an after party bathroom or got IBS symptoms when I was young, that told me that I really couldn't eat and drink what I wanted at the time. But again, the conditioning is there that we can, and so we continue to do so. But what happens is when we're around age 30, like your gut microbiome, you've created an ecosystem with all of the food, the drink, and the toxins, and the pollutions and stuff, even just unknowingly, that we bring in. You've created a certain ecosystem in your stomach. And for the majority of this time, for many of those years, your good bacteria, your good soldiers have been fighting the good fight. And they really have been, taking charge and keeping things out and keeping you as healthy as they could. But you reach a certain time, and this is when age does come into play, because age does matter, because again, there's just this certain time where the soldiers are getting a little weaker and they start to talk to you. And this is what happens around that age 30, is when we're not numbing as much and we're not as distracted as much. This is when Mr. Acid Reflux decides to raise his hand, and he decides he wants to talk to you because he's like, oh, now she's listening, so this is my chance to speak up. So this soldier raises his hand and he's like, hey, and they send this soldier because, well, this soldier's intense. He burns, like he's loud. He's ready to talk. He's ready to say, hey, the ecosystem is not what it used to be. We really need to get things under control. And they sent me because I'm the loudest. So I'm gonna hit it where it hurts. But what happens is again, that marketing and conditioning comes forward real quick when we get that acid reflux, and it tells us we just hit 30. So now we just have acid reflux. That's it. We don't really think of what the cause was of how we got here. We just think, oh, we're 30 now, so now we get acid reflux. What do we do about it? Well, again, that marketing has been ticking around. All those commercials have been ticking around in the background. And you go, oh, I'm gonna go get antacids. I'm gonna go get some Pepcid ACs. And you go in and you get those medications and you eat them. And what that does is that quiets the soldier, the little soldier with his hand raised and he's shooting his little fiery hand up. You silence that with this medication. So he's like, oh, okay, well, I guess I can't talk. So you silence that. So you are quieting your body. You're quieting what your body is trying to say to you. It's trying to say, hey, like things have changed, something's different. We need to work on some things. You're being a little reflective up there. I can tell that, but we need to work on this too. But we go out and get the medication and we quiet this soldier. And we do that enough times that the soldier's like, okay, I guess I'm just gonna sit here. But what, not only is the soldier being quieted, you're also continuing to eat the food or the toxins or the drinks or whatever it is that are causing the acid reflux in the first place. And so then things start to exacerbate and the acid reflux turns into heartburn, and then you go to the doctor and then they hand you over those amazing PPIs. And again, it just keeps numbing it. And while you're also still contributing to it. So not only is the medication not working, but it's also getting worse because this whole ecosystem is like you're feeding the malevolent, bacteria, and it's now getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's actually getting so big that it doesn't even allow the medication to work anymore because that's how destructive it's become. And so this is the perfect example of how the conditioning and the marketing will have us completely ignoring that one little soldier. And so now eventually you have to go back and find that little soldier that's buried in the corner, super quiet, and you have to go back to him and say, what was it you were gonna say to me? Because I knew that you were trying to talk to me a few years ago and I silenced you. So tell me what you got. And hopefully we can have an honest conversation with our body at that time, with our whole digestive system, not just that one soldier, because that one soldier turned, his acid reflux soldiers took over anyway. And so, he was just the one who was sent to communicate once, and then his buddies took over because he was silenced. But hopefully now we can have an honest conversation with our entire digestive system, because at this point there's a chance that it's not just the stomach that's being affected. It's the intestines, it's the gallbladder, it's the esophagus, and now due to all the acid reflux and everything, there's our immune system is compromised, our serotonin is compromised, which makes us sad and anxious. There's a lot of other things that can happen simply because we didn't listen to our bodies at the very beginning. So hopefully now we can go back and sit with our bodies and say, okay, I'm ready to listen to you. I'm ready to listen to every single thing that you have to say, because at the end of the day, it's not a symptom, it is a signal. Like, I can't stress this enough. It's not a symptom, it's a signal. It is your body raising its hand somewhere in the body saying, hey, something's going on, something changed, something is incorrect, something is out of balance, and I really, really, really want you to pay attention to me to get us back into balance. But these medications are a perfect example of how we can get away from being in tune with our bodies so quickly and so easily. And, because of that conditioning and that marketing, it is so ingrained in us. And I just hope that we can start to learn to be more in tuned and more mindful of what's going on with our bodies, and also teach the younger generation to do the same. Because yes, we can technically have all the fun and games when we're young, but we cannot discount the fact that it does affect us, and eventually it does catch up to us, and we have to possibly rewind a little bit to see what we were doing down here that got us over here. And it doesn't mean that, that we're old and our bodies can't handle it, because so many things are reversible and so many things are preventable if we just start paying attention and stop numbing a lot of our signals with certain medications out there, including these PPIs.